I'm sitting in a hotel restaurant on a Friday evening, and I pull out my phone to check a text from my mom. The message comes through at 5:47 p.m. It says, "I'm not coming to your dinner. I can't support this decision you've made. Consider it canceled." I read it 3 times. The dinner she was supposed to help me plan. The dinner that was happening in exactly 23 minutes. The dinner with my extended family, the faculty who mentored me, and everyone who'd supported my journey through a 4-year undergraduate degree, all canceled via text. 23 minutes before it started. My name is Elizabeth Chen. I'm 22 years old, and I just graduated summa cum laude from Georgetown University with a degree in business administration and a minor in economics. I'm from Arlington, Virginia, and I'm about to find out that my mother's anger wasn't just about disappointing her, it was about controlling me. If you want to know what happened when I didn't let her, keep listening. Let me set this up. My mom, Catherine, is a woman who measures success in very specific ways: academic excellence, prestigious institutions, and strategic marriages. She didn't invent these standards. She absorbed them from her own mother, my grandmother, who was a dean at a small liberal arts college. My grandmother was the kind of woman who remembered which students got into Yale and which didn't. She kept track of this information like it was a sport. My mom never became a dean. Instead, she became a surgical nurse, which is respectable and important work. But it wasn't the trajectory she wanted. She wanted the prestige. She wanted the title. She wanted people to know her name first before they knew her credentials. When I was born, I became her second chance at that narrative. I have a younger brother, Michael. He's 19, still in college, studying environmental science. He's fine with my mom's pressure. Or rather, he learned how to give her just enough attention to keep her happy without actually following her vision. He smiles, nods, and then does whatever he wants. My mom accepts this from him because he's still figuring things out. With me, it's different. I'm supposed to be the one who gets it right, the one who understands the stakes, the one who knows that a degree from Georgetown opens doors that other doors don't. And I did do that. I worked incredibly hard. I maintained a 3.98 GPA. I interned at 2 financial firms. I had job offers waiting for me after graduation, one from an investment firm in New York, one from a consulting company in DC. I was proud of what I'd built. Not arrogant, just proud. But my mom had ideas about what came next. She wanted me to leverage my Georgetown network to meet people, rich people, well-connected people, people who could advance not just my career, but her social status by association. There's a moment I'll never forget. I was home for spring break during my senior year, and I told her I was interested in the New York position. The salary was good, the growth potential was clear, and it was a role I genuinely wanted. My mom looked at me and said, "New York is for people who have nowhere else to go. Georgetown graduates should be building relationships that matter. If you move to New York, you'll just be another face in the crowd." I remember the specific way she said it, not like she was giving advice, like she was explaining a fact about the world that I hadn't understood yet, like I was naive for not seeing it. What she meant was, New York doesn't help me. The thing about having a mother like this is that it's not abuse in the traditional sense. It's not overt cruelty. It's something more insidious. It's the slow recalibration of your own ambitions to fit someone else's vision. It's love wrapped up in conditions. And it's incredibly effective because you don't even realize it's happening until you're 22 years old and making a major life decision. And you catch yourself thinking about what your mother would approve of instead of what you actually want. So when I was offered the New York job, I hesitated. And in that hesitation, my mom started making calls. She called the Georgetown placement office and spoke to my mentor, Dr. Richard Walsh. I found this out later, not from her, but from him. He mentioned it casually during our final advising meeting. He said my mom had reached out because she was concerned about my career trajectory. She called the investment firm, not directly, but through a family friend whose brother worked in their compliance department, and mentioned that I was still exploring options and might not be as committed as they thought. She even called Georgetown's admissions office to ask if I was eligible for a graduate program. She thought maybe I'd been moving too fast. Maybe I should get my MBA first. Maybe I wasn't ready. And the worst part? I didn't know any of this was happening. I just knew that suddenly the world felt smaller. My options felt fewer. My confidence felt shaky. By the time graduation rolled around, I was exhausted. I'd spent 4 years building something, and now I had to fight to believe it was worth anything. My graduation was May 15th. I'd asked my mom weeks before if we could do a family dinner the night before. Something small, something to mark the moment before everything changed. She'd said yes. She seemed genuinely happy about it. We'd looked at restaurants together. We'd made a reservation for 20 people. Then, 3 weeks before the date, she asked me if I'd made a decision about the New York job. I told her I had. I was taking it. There was silence on the phone. Then she said, "Okay," and hung up. That should have been a warning sign, but I was used to her doing this, disappearing into silence when she wasn't getting her way, like she was punishing me by withdrawing, so I didn't push it. 2 weeks before the dinner, she called again. "I've been thinking about the dinner," she said, "and I think we should cancel it." "Cancel it?" I said. "Why?" "Because it's too much. You're graduating. You should be resting, not dealing with a big event. Mom, I want the dinner. I'm not stressed about it. You might not realize you're stressed, but trust me, you are. This is the thing about gaslighting. It's so smooth. It's not I'm angry with you. It's I'm concerned about you. It's not I don't want to celebrate with you. It's I'm thinking about what's best for you. Let's keep the dinner, I said. Please. We'll see, she said. And then she told me she had to go. That was 2 weeks out. I didn't hear from her for a week and a half. During that time, I started second-guessing myself. Maybe she was right. Maybe I should cancel. Maybe it was too much. Then, 6 days before the dinner, she sent me an email. The subject line was, your celebration. The email said, Elizabeth, I've given this a lot of thought, and I don't think I can support this dinner. Not because I don't love you, but because I can't be part of a celebration that's rooted in a decision I don't agree with. You're moving to New York against my advice. You're throwing away the Georgetown network. You're being short-sighted, and I can't sit at a table and pretend to be proud of a choice that's going to limit your future. I'm sorry, but I won't be attending. I suggest you cancel the whole thing. Mom. I read it and felt the room tilt. She wasn't just canceling her attendance. She was asking me to cancel the whole dinner, to tell 20 people, including faculty members, family friends, and relatives who had already booked hotels, that the celebration wasn't happening. But that wasn't even the worst part. That same evening, my mom called my aunt, my dad's sister, and told her that she wouldn't be at the dinner because I'd made some poor choices, and she couldn't pretend to celebrate them. My aunt, who loves me, asked her to reconsider. My mom told her that if she attended my graduation dinner, they would have to reconsider their relationship. That's when I found out. My aunt called me, concerned. She told me what my mom had said. Your mother is threatening people, my aunt said gently. Don't let her do this. I remember feeling paralyzed. My own mother had essentially issued an ultimatum to her sister, either abandon me or lose her. Then something didn't add up. I started getting messages from relatives who'd bought plane tickets. They were asking if the dinner was still happening. They'd heard rumors that it might be canceled. Where was this coming from? My mom had told them. She'd called around the family, my dad's side, aunts and uncles and cousins, and told them the dinner was off, not directly, but through implications. I won't be there. Elizabeth is making some very poor decisions. I'm not sure the celebration is appropriate. By the next day, 3 family members had canceled. They didn't want to show up if my mom wasn't going to be there. They didn't understand the dynamic. And my mom had made it clear that her absence meant something was wrong. That's when I called my dad. My parents have been divorced since I was 8. My dad remarried when I was 12. His wife, Margaret, is kind and present in a way that my mom has never learned to be. My dad loves my mom still, I think. Not romantically, but with the kind of enduring affection you have for someone you built a life with, even if that life didn't last. Your mother called me, my dad said when I told him what was happening. She said you were making a mistake with the job and that you needed to understand the consequences of not listening to her. The consequences. I repeated. That's what she said, that there would be consequences. I felt cold. Dad, I'm 22 years old. I got a degree from Georgetown. I have job offers. How is making my own choice supposed to have consequences from my mother? He sighed. Elizabeth, your mother has always seen your future as something she needs to manage. When you don't go along with the management, she feels like she's failed. That's not my responsibility, I said. No, he agreed. It's not. That night, I couldn't sleep. I pulled out my laptop and started documenting everything. Not in a legal way. I was too young to think I might need it, but just trying to make sense of what was happening. I printed out the email she'd sent. I wrote down the dates of the calls. I noted what she'd said to my aunt, what my aunt had told me. I was creating a timeline without even knowing why. The dinner was still scheduled for May 14th. That was 1 week away. By May 12th, 4 more family members had canceled. My mom had made it clear enough that her position was opposition, and they'd chosen her side. Or rather, they'd chosen the path of least resistance. But here's the thing. I didn't cancel the dinner. I wasn't going to give her that power. I called the restaurant and confirmed the reservation for 12 people instead of 20. I reached out to my mentors from Georgetown, the ones who'd offered to come, and told them that there was some family tension, but the dinner was still happening. Every single one said they'd still be there. Dr. Richard Walsh, my business school mentor, was the one who asked the key question. Is your mother okay? He asked when I told him the situation. I said, she's angry with me for taking the New York job instead of staying in DC. There was a long pause. Elizabeth, he said carefully, your mother called me weeks ago. She told me that you were still undecided about jobs and that you might benefit from more advising before making a final choice. She also suggested that Georgetown should encourage you to consider a graduate program first. She did? I felt my face go hot. I didn't think much of it at the time, he said. Parents call. But now, knowing what you've just told me, I'm concerned. That was inappropriate. That's when I understood the scope of what had happened. My mother hadn't just been mad. She'd been actively undermining my confidence, my professional relationships, and my autonomy, and she'd been doing it while acting like she was helping me. May 14th came. I got ready at a hotel near the restaurant because I didn't want to go home. I put on a navy dress I'd bought specifically for graduation week. I did my makeup. I looked at myself in the mirror and decided that I was going to celebrate this moment, with or without my mother's approval. I arrived at the restaurant at 5:30 p.m. The restaurant was nice, not fancy, but warm and welcoming. They had a private dining room reserved for us. The staff had helped me set up a table with a small photo collage of my Georgetown years. My dad was already there with Margaret. My aunt was there. My brother was there. Dr. Walsh showed up early, along with 2 other professors who'd been instrumental in my education. And then, at 5:47 p.m., I got the text. "I'm not coming to your dinner. I can't support this decision you've made. Consider it canceled." I was standing near the window of the restaurant when I read it. I could see people arriving, family members who'd said they might come, friends of my parents, people who cared about me. And I had to decide, in that moment, whether I was going to let my mother's anger define this night. I didn't respond to the text. I just turned my phone over and walked back into the dining room. My dad saw my face and stood up. "What happened?" he asked. "Mom's not coming," I said, "and she texted to tell me to cancel the whole thing." My dad's jaw tightened. He looked at Margaret, who squeezed his hand. Then he looked at me. "She doesn't get to cancel this," he said quietly. "She forfeited that right when she decided to make it about her." I nodded. And then I sat down, and I let the people who actually cared about me celebrate what I'd accomplished. The dinner was beautiful, not perfect. There was sadness in the room, the awareness of an absence. But there was also genuine warmth. Dr. Walsh gave a toast about my work ethic and my potential. My aunt told a story about watching me grow up. My dad stood up and said, "I'm incredibly proud of my daughter. Not because of where she got her degree or what job she's taking, but because she had the courage to make her own choice, even when it was hard." And I cried, not sad crying, the other kind. By the end of the dinner, my phone had accumulated missed calls and text messages. My mom had called 4 times. She'd texted my dad asking where I was. She'd left a voicemail for my brother saying that I was making a mistake and he should try to reason with me. I didn't listen to any of it that night. I just let myself be present with the people who were there by choice, not by obligation or control. But the next morning, everything changed. I woke up to about 50 text messages in the family group chat. My mom had sent a long message, addressed to everyone, explaining her side. She said that I was being ungrateful and disrespectful of her wishes. She said that I'd thrown away my future for pride. She said that she was deeply disappointed in me and in my father for enabling my poor choices. Then she added something new. "I've been paying for Elizabeth's education and her living expenses. I expect some gratitude, not rebellion." My stomach dropped. Because this wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. This was about money. This was about her using financial support as a lever to control my decisions. That's when I realized I needed help understanding this. I called my dad. "She's claiming she paid for my education," I said. "What does that mean?" "It means she's about to ask for reimbursement," my dad said flatly. "Or she's going to use it to justify why you need to do what she wants." He was right. 2 days later, my mom sent me a detailed accounting of what she'd contributed to my Georgetown education. Tuition, room and board, books, supplies. The total came to just over $80,000. The email she sent it with said, "Given the investment I've made in your future, I believe I deserve a voice in the decisions you make with that future. The New York job is unacceptable. I expect you to take the consulting position in DC, or I will need to discuss a repayment plan for my contributions." She was literally trying to bill me for my existence. I was 22 years old, freshly graduated, with a job offer that started in 3 weeks. I didn't have $80,000. I had about $12,000 in savings, and that's when I understood what this was really about. This wasn't parental concern. This wasn't even traditional controlling behavior. This was financial coercion. This was holding my education hostage to force compliance. I called my dad again. "Can she legally do this?" I asked. "I don't know," he said, "but we need to find out. I'm calling a lawyer." My dad hired an attorney named Susan Hayes. She was a family law specialist, and she was direct in a way that I appreciated. "Your mother made a choice to pay for your education," Susan said during our consultation call. "That choice wasn't a loan agreement with terms and conditions. If she now wants to be repaid, she'd need to have documented that up front. More importantly, she can't use it as leverage to control your career decisions. That's financial coercion, and in Virginia, it can actually be considered a form of abuse." "What do I do?" I asked. "First," Susan said, "you document everything. Every email, every text, every statement about money or control. Second, you don't respond to her financial demands directly. And third, you start setting boundaries." She also said something that stuck with me. "Elizabeth, your mother is escalating because you didn't back down. This is her extinction burst. She's trying harder because the softer manipulation didn't work. If you hold firm, it's likely to get worse before it gets better." I wasn't ready for what worse meant. 2 days after the lawyer consultation, Houston, my mom showed up at my apartment. I wasn't expecting her. I was packing. I had a week until I was supposed to move to New York. I was in the middle of boxing up my books when I heard the knock. When I opened the door, she looked different. Not angry exactly. Desperate. "We need to talk," she said. "Okay," I said, and I let her in because I still didn't fully understand what was happening. I still thought we could resolve this with conversation. We sat in my living room, surrounded by half-packed boxes. "I've been thinking about what I said," she started, "about the money, and I realize I handled that poorly." "You did," I said, "but Elizabeth, I need you to understand something. I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to protect you. New York is a mistake. You don't have the right network there. You won't have support. And when you fail, and you will fail, there won't be anyone there to catch you." "I won't fail," I said. "You think that now, but you're 22. You don't understand how the world works yet, and I'm your mother. I'm supposed to guide you. Guidance is different from control," I said. She looked at me, and I saw something shift in her face. It was the moment she realized that conversation wasn't going to work. "If you move to New York," she said slowly, "I can't support that decision. And if I can't support the decision, then I can't support you." "What does that mean?" I asked, though I think I already knew. "It means we might not be able to have a relationship. It means I might not be able to attend your events, or help you when things get hard, or be part of your life in the way I have been." She stood up. "I hope you'll reconsider," she said. "But if you don't, you need to understand that there are consequences." And then she left. That night, I called Susan again. "She came to my apartment," I told her. "She said if I don't take the DC job, we might not be able to have a relationship." "Okay," Susan said. "That's a boundary. She's drawing a line, and you need to decide if you're going to accept that or not." "I'm not," I said. "Good," Susan said. "Then document this conversation. Write down exactly what she said and when. And then you need to prepare yourself for her to escalate further. Because threatening to cut off a relationship if you don't obey is a control tactic. And when it doesn't work, people like your mother usually try something else." She was right. 2 days later, my mom called the investment firm. I found out about this from the hiring manager, Jordan, who reached out to me directly. "I wanted to give you a heads up," he said. "Your mother called our HR department this afternoon. She told them that you had some emotional and financial instability, and that she was concerned about your fitness for the role." I felt the ground shift under me. "She said what?" I asked. "She implied that you might not be stable enough to handle a high-pressure job. She suggested that the firm might want to reconsider the offer." "That's insane," I said. "I agree," Jordan said, "and I want you to know that this doesn't change our position. We want you, but I'm telling you this because you need to know what you're dealing with." I went home that night and sat in my apartment, surrounded by packed boxes, and I made a decision. I was going to go to New York. I was going to take the job, and I was going to stop waiting for my mother's approval. But I was also going to protect myself. I called Susan again. "I want to send my mother a letter," I told her. "Something that documents what's happened and sets clear boundaries." "Good idea," Susan said, "but let me help you draft it. You want to be clear without being emotional. You want to create a record." We worked on it together. The letter was about 500 words. It documented the cancellation of the graduation dinner and the emotional manipulations surrounding it, the calls to family members, the calls to my university, the financial accounting and the implicit threats, the visit to my apartment, the call to the investment firm. And then it said, "Mom, I love you, and I'm grateful for the education you helped provide, but I cannot continue in a relationship where my autonomy and career choices are used as leverage for control. I'm moving to New York. I'm taking the investment job, and I'm doing this not out of rebellion, but out of self-respect. If you can accept this, I want to rebuild our relationship on healthier terms. If you can't, I need you to understand that I'm establishing boundaries to protect my well-being. I've documented everything discussed above. I'm not doing this to threaten you, but so that there's clarity about what has happened. I hope we can find a way forward. Elizabeth." I sent it via registered mail on a Thursday. She received it on a Friday. She didn't respond to the letter. Instead, she called my dad. According to my dad, she told him that she felt attacked and that she was considering her options. When he asked what that meant, she didn't elaborate. I moved to New York on June 3rd. The night before I left, I got an email from my university. It was from Dr. James Harris, the dean of Georgetown's School of Business. The subject line was, "Regarding your graduation and recent contact." The email said, "Dear Elizabeth, I hope you're settling into your post-graduation life. I'm reaching out because we've recently become aware of some inappropriate contact made by a family member regarding your academic record and career path. This contact was made without your knowledge or consent, and it violated our privacy policies. Additionally, we've been made aware of concerning communications regarding your fitness for employment based on unsubstantiated claims about your personal stability. I want you to know that we have the highest regard for your academic performance and your character. The communications we received did not align with our records or our assessment of you. If there's anything we can do to support you during this transition, please don't hesitate to reach out." I read it 3 times. The dean was saying that someone, clearly my mother, had contacted the university with false information about me, and the university was making a record that they didn't believe it. I called Dr. Walsh. Did you know about this? I asked. I saw the email, he said. Elizabeth, the dean is being supportive, but I want you to know what happened. Your mother called the admissions office and asked them to flag your file. She claimed that you had undisclosed mental health issues, and that Georgetown might be liable if something happened to you after graduation. I felt sick. That's insane, I said. It is, he agreed, and it didn't work. The admissions office contacted me because they thought it was odd. I confirmed everything about your stability and your performance. And then the dean got involved because calling a school to make false claims about a graduate student's mental health is actually a serious issue. It's defamation, potentially. I moved into my apartment in Manhattan on June 5th. On June 10th, I got a letter from Susan. She'd been contacted by my mother's attorney. My mother was claiming that since she'd contributed to my education, she was entitled to some form of repayment or financial involvement in my future earnings. This is going nowhere, Susan wrote in her cover letter. She doesn't have a legal leg to stand on, but I want you to know that she's trying to weaponize the courts now. I'm going to respond with a letter outlining why this claim has no merit, but I'm also going to reference the other behaviors, the calls to the university, the calls to your employer, the financial coercion. I want to make clear that we have documentation and that these behaviors are concerning. I authorized her to send that letter. That letter changed everything. 2 weeks after Susan sent it, my mother's attorney stopped pursuing the financial claim. No response, no counteroffer, just silence. But here's what happened next, and this is the part that actually turned everything around. My mom, desperate to regain some kind of control or narrative advantage, decided to go around the legal system and appeal directly to the university. She called Georgetown's Office of Student Affairs and asked to speak to someone about concerns regarding me. When they asked what kind of concerns, she said that I'd been unwell during my time there and that the university hadn't provided adequate support. This was untrue. I'd been fine. I'd graduated with a 3.98 GPA and multiple faculty recommendations. But here's the important part. She made this call on June 23rd, and she made it to the wrong office. She was transferred to the Dean of Students, who then informed the Dean of the School of Business, Dr. James Harris, about the contact. And Dr. Harris, who already had context from the earlier communication, decided to investigate. He found everything. He found the email she'd sent requesting I cancel my graduation dinner. He found documentation of the calls she'd made to faculty members. He found evidence of the contact she'd made to the admissions office with false claims. And he reached out to me. I was at my desk at the investment firm when my phone rang. The caller ID said Georgetown University. Elizabeth, the voice said, this is Dr. James Harris, Dean of the School of Business. I wanted to call you directly because something's come to my attention, and I thought you should know. I took the call. He told me everything. The calls, the emails, the false claims. He told me that Georgetown took these communications very seriously and that they were documenting everything. I want you to know, he said, that from our perspective, you are an exceptional graduate. Your record here was outstanding, and the claims being made about you, they're not accurate, and they're not supported by anything in your file. Thank you, I said, barely able to speak. I'm also going to reach out to the investment firm, he continued. They've been contacted as well, I believe. I want to make sure they have the same information we do, which is that you're an excellent candidate and that these claims are baseless. After I hung up, I sat at my desk for probably 10 minutes without moving because I realized something. My mother had expected me to fall apart. She'd expected me to fail. She'd tried every tool she had to force me to stay close to her, under her control, where she could manage my life. And when I didn't break, she'd gone bigger. She'd tried to destroy my reputation, but she'd also underestimated how many people had actually seen my competence, how many people actually believed in me. By July, everything had stabilized. My mom hadn't reached out. I hadn't reached out. There was just silence. But the silence was different now. It wasn't the silence of waiting for forgiveness. It was the silence of acceptance. The silence of someone who'd drawn their own line and decided to stay on the other side of it. In August, I got a letter from Susan. The statute of limitations on my mother pursuing any kind of financial claim had effectively passed. She could technically still try, but it would be frivolous and easily dismissed. Susan had sent one more letter to my mother's attorney making this clear. The financial threat was over. The reputational threat was over. Georgetown had my back. The investment firm had my back. The people who actually mattered knew the truth. By September, I was settled into my job in New York. I was doing well. My manager was happy with my work. I was building a life that was mine, and my mother was still silent. I didn't expect to hear from her until December. I was at work when the email came through. The subject line was simple. Can we talk? The email said, Elizabeth, I've had a lot of time to think about what happened. I want you to know that I'm sorry for how I handled things with your graduation and your job decision. I realize now that I was trying to control something I couldn't control, your future, and I hurt you in the process. I'm not asking for forgiveness, not yet, but I'm asking if you'd be willing to have a conversation. I miss you, Mom. I read it at my desk and didn't respond right away. I called my dad that evening. She reached out, I told him. She apologized. How do you feel? He asked. I don't know, I said. I think I need to think about what I want to do. That's fair, he said. You don't owe her anything, Elizabeth, but if you want to try, I'm here for you. I thought about it for a week. Eventually, I decided to respond, not to immediately forgive, but to open a door. I called her. Hi, Mom, I said when she answered. She started crying immediately. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. I know, I said, and I need you to understand something. What happened wasn't just about not supporting my job choice. You tried to control me financially, socially, and professionally. You went after people I cared about. You tried to destroy my reputation. I know, she said, and I was wrong. I was so wrong. If we're going to have a relationship, I continued, it has to be different. You don't get a say in my career decisions. You don't get to contact my employers or my school. You don't get to use money as a weapon. And if you try to do any of that again, I'm going to cut contact completely. I understand, she said. I need to hear you say what you did, I said. I need you to acknowledge it. There was a pause. I tried to control you through financial coercion, she said slowly. I contacted your university to make false claims about your mental health. I called your employer to try to damage your reputation. And I used emotional manipulation to try to force you to make a decision that I approved of instead of letting you make your own choice. Yes, I said, and I was wrong. All of it was wrong. We talked for another hour. Not easy conversation, not comfortable, but honest. By the end, we'd established some basic ground rules for moving forward. She would respect my career and life decisions. She wouldn't contact my employer, school, or professional contacts. Any discussion about money would be transparent and mutually agreed upon. If she felt worried or upset about something, she would talk to me directly instead of taking action behind my back. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was a framework for rebuilding. Over the next few months, she honored those commitments. She didn't try to interfere. She didn't make unauthorized calls. When she had concerns, she brought them to me directly, and slowly, we found a new rhythm. By the following spring, we had our first genuine celebration together. Not a graduation dinner, but a smaller meal, just the two of us. She brought flowers. She asked about my work without trying to redirect it. She listened. I'm not going to say that everything magically healed. Our relationship is still complicated. She still has patterns of control that she catches herself falling into, and I still have work to do around trusting her. But we're building something different now. What I learned through all of this is that loving someone doesn't mean accepting control. Setting a boundary isn't betrayal, and protecting yourself isn't selfish. My mother tried every tool she had to force me into compliance, and when she couldn't, she escalated. But she was fighting against something she couldn't ultimately win against, my own sense of my own worth. Once I knew that the problem wasn't with me, it was with the dynamic, everything changed. I could stop trying to earn her approval and start protecting my own autonomy. That shift didn't fix the situation overnight, but it gave me the strength to not back down, even when it would have been easier to give in. If you're dealing with someone in your life who's trying to control you through financial coercion, emotional manipulation, or social pressure, if you're second-guessing your own judgment because someone else keeps telling you that you're wrong, I want you to know you're not wrong. Your instincts are probably right, and protecting yourself isn't betrayal, it's survival. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to set a boundary with someone you love? What helped you hold firm? And what would you have done in my situation? Thank you for listening. I'm Elizabeth Chen, and I'm proud of the life I've built on my own terms.